Welcome, Poggers, to another episode of the POG State. I'm Atlas. Today I am joined by Daniel Laux Harrison, Wolf Schroeder, and Brendan Valdez. Chose the wrong day to read full names. You know, normally it'd just be, introducing everyone, but then you guys have got the double names. One at the front, one at the back.
At least we lost someone with a double name. Maurits Mauhaus Newsom.
Yeah,
That's at least it's Mauhaus though.
It's a little
he
different,
just adds to the first name, so it makes you sound like you've got a stutter when you introduce him, which I think is kind of brilliant, to be perfectly honest. Wow, it didn't take us very long to mention Chronicler Daniel. Do you really miss him that much? Can you feel his spirit in your house whenever you're at home?
Yes.
Well, it is.
Are
Was his
we
house,
sure he has left, by the way? Because I swear sometimes I misplace things and I'm like, I might leave a trap for him. I'll put some stroop waffle out, and then I'll wake up in the middle of the night. He'll just be munching on it.
In a small cage for his 6'2" body.
Yeah, he is very large to be in a small cage eating stroopwafel, which doesn't seem very right. But okay, let's bring it back to where we are, which is the LCK. We are almost done with round 1 of LCK 2026. We had a couple of home ground matches over this weekend. That was very, very cool. T1 hosting both Bro and B&K FearX and managing to 2-0 both of them. Clean 2-0s, absolutely back in form. T1 looking absolutely brilliant. We will delve into that one a little bit later, perhaps. But it started off crazy, right? And has now kind of moved back into normalcy outside of KT being undefeated.
Yeah, I was about to say that's like the
Yeah,
one...
that's super weird.
Yeah.
But it's only that, really, that is really standing out. Outside of HLE turning things around really aggressively with only one loss after they came in last, a little bit unfortunately, in the LCK Cup. They've had a bit of a turnaround. Have there been anything else that sort of stood out to you as remaining weird?
B&K 2-6,
yeah.
the team that just went to the LCK Cup finals.
Yeah, true.
DNS having a win.
All right, I'll double down.
Anyone else? Anyone
DRX
else
having
surprised?
2 wins.
Oh my god,
That's
true.
That is pretty
I mean,
surprising.
I feel like Gen G being in the position they are today was kind of like a return to the form we kind of expect from them, but 3 losses is a humongous amount for Gen G to have already. And I felt like after they beat T1, it was like, okay, they're back, they're back to their normal selves, and then they still kept struggling after that point. So I think any standings where Gen G isn't at the top and has significant numbers more than 1 in their lose column is always going to be weird.
Yeah, that was a very good point. So, Sheep Police is here, so we do need to make sure that we stick to it. Okay, so we got one thing that we need to do, and that is, Daniel, can you just turn around and show everyone how absolutely magnificent the back of this jacket is? Look at that cowboy.
Yeehaw! Oh, sorry.
Oh,
His
see?
I
His
can suppress it. I
patriotism
can
just
suppress
could
it.
not help itself.
I just, I get so proud whenever I see
I'm
a
just
cowboy.
embracing your cowboy culture, Brendan.
Have you been saying howdy to everyone ever since you started wearing that
A
jacket?
good amount, yes.
Oh my goodness, it's beautiful. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, now we can start the round on recap. Now it is time for us to separate our standings into tiers. Do we have, because remember we had, Gen G T1 were clearly just number 1 and 2, and then it was kind of all the rest. We've had that in the past. We've had lots of different situations where it's actually just straight up divided between the top 5 and the bottom 5, and it's very clear. Do we have, 3 groups of teams at this point in time that we can clearly sort of separate? And I'm feeling like yes.
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 All right, good. Well, on to the next segment.
I think we're supposed to draw the lines, though.
Okay, let's do arts and crafts time.
I don't know if I have 3 groups. I feel like I might have 4.
I have 3. Maybe I also have. Yeah.
I don't think you have to just have top, mid, and bottom because
there
there's
a
question
Nongshim
marks
group?
on that.
Or they're just alone.
Yes, that was my thought.
I
Nongshim
think
are in a
so.
group of their own.
Because they can't be on the same level as,
They're not
Gen
in...
G T1 DK.
Yes, but also they're not in the level of...
No.
Okay, I think the easiest line to draw is the one between 7th and 8th place with Q and Bro and DNS.
Between 6th and 7th place, you mean?
Yeah,
No,
I kind
I'm
of
not putting B&K in the same tier as QM, DRX, Bro, and DNS.
Wolf,
You know
can
what?
I draw
I'm
your
going to.
attention to the game scoreline of KRX and BFX.
Yeah, I see. It's a 2-game difference.
You
Yeah.
just used those
It is a
tricodes
2-game
so bravely.
I didn't
so,
I?
I'm so proud of
I
you.
just read them.
You just read the letters.
just
That's so
didn't
scary.
That's because the POG state is a place of freedom,
Wow.
as the cowboy represents.
Guys, I've also labeled each of my groups. So, my top group is big dogs. Then
Oh.
I have cool canines. Then puzzled poodle for Nongshim. And then little pups for the rest.
Indeed.
Yeah. The little yappers that never stop barking.
Yeah, no, it's just Nongshim by themselves, and that's it. That's just that's the designation. So wait, that is 3 lines. We nailed it.
I'm going to be a little bit more direct with my names of my tiers. My top tier is going to be good.
Oh,
Okay.
My bottom
Not
tier, or
even
my
that
second
good.
tier, is going to be inconsistent.
Uh-huh.
And then the next tier, which is Nongshim and BNK, I put BNK in the Nongshim, is going to be that one doesn't have a name. And the bottom one is going to be see you in
Rise group.
2027. So Nongshim and BNK is kind of like no one understands. There's not really a great word for
Question
this.
mark.
Yeah, but I want to use a word or a phrase or I want to name the tier. If I put a question mark, that's unnamed.
So you went with a dogs theme. You went with just a very generic theme. My theme is going to be very short words. So my first tier is going to be wow.
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 Oh, yeah, wow.
Yeah. And then the next tier is going to be yes. Because we assumed they would be relatively good. The next tier is going to be huh.
That's a good one.
That's the Nongshim tier. And then oh.
Oh,
That's what we've got.
It's particularly good for Fear X,
Oh.
where it was like, oh, they might be good. Oh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna choose the word, or choose the name for Nongshim and BNK as unrealized potential.
Wow, yours is very. That does not fit into my naming convention
It's
at
very
all.
optimistic.
Can you fit it in the margin? Oh, wow. You did a really good job.
Heck yeah.
I,
What are
I
yours
don't
called?
have names.
Come on,
They're
Valdez.
just
You have
groups.
to-
You're
you
on
have
the
to think of
spot. You
names.
have to
Come
put
on,
on.
you started
It's on
the
the sheet.
thing.
Somebody put it on
What
the
do you
sheet. It's the revised
mean?
version of the sheet. He's got it over there on the computer. You just ask
Does
him.
it say it on the sheet?
Lie, somebody. Lie.
Yeah, it says it on the sheet.
It says it on the sheet, the new version of the sheet.
Valdez can't see
You
the
don't
pen
have the
marks
patch
on the
notes
sheet,
for
and he
the
can't
sheet.
read the
The patch
sheet.
notes for the
I
sheet
think
came
I'm a little
out. They
bit
did.
behind.
What does this say? Let me
Maybe
see.
if someone wrote on it, that could help.
Make. Yeah, see, it's right there. Make names for
yeah,
the
you know what?
teams.
Yeah, I'm
There
just.
you go.
He
Yeah.
meant groups.
In the
not
original
teams.
version, it was
Names
pretty
for the
implied
teams.
when it said top question mark mid question
the
mark
groups.
bottom question mark, as if like
Max,
there were
teams.
guidelines, but
he can't handle
For the
it.
teams? What does he mean?
So do we all have?
KTs,
We all have the
KT?
same groups, right?
Korea
No.
Telecom?
Do we all have
We
the same
don't.
ones? We
I think
don't.
us three are similar, but he's always trying to be the odd one
Make
out.
your names. Focus
I'm
up.
thinking.
Lock in.
I'm first going to, while Brendan is deliberating on his team names, I'm
Can I,
just going to
can I
let
just
everyone
quickly
know.
say, this is important. Not easy to think on the spot, is it? Mr. Bullying me of my comments.
lock in Valdez.
Lock in, Valdez. it might be a cloud
Group
soul.
names? Group names? Question mark? Lost your passion there, Brendan?
So that's why you're always sitting there for like 5 minutes with your arms crossed while the referee's waiting for your comment. Or not your,
This has
for-
provided a lot of anxiety for our co-casters. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
The comment situation. I think Wolf has the best strategy where he just opts out half the time. He just says, "Oh, I forgot my comment." That's really because he could not think of a good comment.
Honestly, sometimes I just write
right,
the
I'm-
most
I've
generic
got an
comment
idea.
ever. I'm like,
All
good
right,
game
I'm
today.
going to associate items of various values to the groups. So the top one is crown.
Okay.
Wow.
The middle one
he's not an
is
item.
Is
He's a
Genji
person.
is Genji in that group?
No,
Oh, okay. Is Samsung in that group?
and neither is crown.
Crown of the Shattered Queen, like the league item.
Yeah.
That
That
item was
item
not
was
They can
so
expensive.
take a
boring.
hit and then they won't actually. Their damage will be
The
reduced.
middle one here is gem.
Crown and gem. Okay.
And then we have
Uh, Oh no,
It's pretty hard to think on the
He's
spot with everybody staring at me.
Go Topaz. Go Topaz.
that's still a gem. You got to separate
Can
them.
Notion be not sure? Just
Why
'cause
can't they
it's
just
their
be noodle? You can just put them as noodle
noodle soup?
Shoes.
and just like make sure the value of the
Why
next
shoes?
level is going to be something worse.
All right, Notion is noodle soup, and then the bottom is
Branch.
We should just
Yeah,
concede the
just
point that
do
the names
stick
were too
or
much
something,
for
yeah.
I
Valdez.
think, I wanted to say dirt, but I thought that was too mean, so I'm just going to go with
I think
branch.
we all thought of a different thing
Yeah.
for what
Branch
it was
is
going
a-
to be, and I wanted
Branch
to
is
know
a
whether
great
to do
idea.
it.
That's exactly what I was thinking. All right. I named
Beautiful.
my groups.
All right.
Are you guys happy?
Yeah, we should say exactly where the groups are. And so what I've done is separated HLE and KT. They're going to be the top two. Then Genji, T1, and DK. That is the next three. That is sort of our legend group, I guess, the top 5 teams. Then Nongshim are by themselves in some weird type limbo. And then we have BNK, FearX, KRX, Bro, and DNS all in the O tier.
Mine are exactly the same, but obviously with the names I've applied to them, which were all dog references.
Mine
good.
are exactly the same, but obviously all the words are...
Like branch tier.
Yeah.
When you said that, I thought I heard brunch. I'm like, oh, that's delicious. I want to be in that tier.
I had brunch yesterday,
Honestly,
actually.
you
It
could,
was great, yeah.
you could have done meals. You could have done like, this is second breakfast, you know.
Oh,
this
yeah,
is supper.
elevensies.
Yeah.
I think B and K is definitely better than QM, Bro, and DNS, but I also almost want to say that Bro should be in that tier as well, the unrealized potential tier for me with Notion, B and K, and Bro. But I can't really draw a line for it because Bro's on the bottom.
You just
three.
like move Bro like to
And I also
them.
think that Bro, every time I think they have unrealized potential, I'm like, oh no, we've realized that they don't. But they have flashes,
is
right? They have
realized.
moments. But I do think that like QM, DRX, and DNS, like of all these teams to me, are like the most certainly, definitely doomed, not going to play in, it's not relevant. See you next year, because these two teams just, I don't even know what their game plan is half the time. With QM, DRX, they just like first pick Ezreal, and they're like, maybe Rich gets a counter pick, but doesn't really matter because he gets solo killed there too, and it's bad. And then DNS just don't even have an idea of what they're doing in the game, and I'm really sad for Duckers and Peter.
Yeah,
and
Duckers
Peter's like
too.
on the bench for some reason that we don't understand.
Yeah. Also, like it's a weird thing. Obviously, substitutions, if something's going wrong, you're like, where are we going to find, like, which player we're going to look to? And often it's like, well, what players do we have available? Like, obviously, they had Peter in Life, and then they're bringing up Quantum. Clearly, they feel like there's a problem with the support role, but like, the bot side of the map, we're new this year. But how are we having the same problems, I feel like, for this team as last year? Where
Yeah.
it just feels like they're incapable. I mean, it's not exactly the same.
They
But
don't
it
even
just
have
feels like,
Bulldog.
yeah, it just feels like, I don't know if it's the environment or, you know, it's some remnant of the structures I had before, but it's like you have two players who are literally in the World Finals, and then you have a mid laner who, you know, we were talking about the year closer last year, and then it's just, you know, I was thinking, okay, it'll bring it back up, right? Like we all know, like when we talked about Dudu and Piochik, and even in LCK Cup, they were playing well, but it's just like everyone has regressed to that DNF base level that we had last year, and obviously they have a win, but
Yeah.
it is, I don't know. I don't know how
They
it happened.
changed it to an S, but they haven't moved from the F tier, actually. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes,
Yeah.
but they also changed the players, and I thought that would have more of an impact.
Yeah. Not
And
S tier.
it briefly did
It did.
in the LCK Cup, but we all know that's not real. So
I do think that, like, bringing in Dr. and Peter, though, was just adding more variance to a team that already had massive amounts of variance. Like, let's be honest, like, Peter has always been incredibly up and down with his performance. Dr. you never really know what you're going to get. Oftentimes he is. Like, he was elite for the last half of last year, but before that, he was not
True.
the beacon of consistency. So I think what DNS have done is just kind of hoped that they all hit heads at the same time, and what it's done is kind of made it even more chaotic.
It just seems like to me there's clearly issues right now with a lot of these teams in terms of structure and the substitutions we're seeing that are based on availability of players, right? So perhaps Berserker's like, I'm not staying. I don't want to deal with this anymore. They don't want to deal with him. Whatever. He would demand a high salary. He ends up going overseas, right? And then, like, what do we get? Maybe we get the World Championship bottom lane. Maybe Duck Dom and Peter were asking for a lot of money at KT, and KT's like, well, we got to keep BDD in here, and we got to figure out what we want to do with this roster, and so they couldn't actually lock it down. And then, so they end up on this team, and it doesn't make sense for them. But, like, the way Duck Dom plays and the way Berserker played are, like, completely opposite, right? Duck Dom is more of a passenger-type AD carry where he gets through and then makes big plays later on. But when his team is falling apart, like, he's never going to be the guy. Like, he's never going to be the guy who pop off and fix it. Berserker kind of almost was many times last year, right? Where we're like, oh, okay, maybe Berserker can get it done. And he can't get it done. But, like, he did a lot, right? He played really aggressively. He was able to almost save a lot of the games for them. So slotting this bottom duo in doesn't make sense. And then I think some of our teams, like QM, DRX, and DNS, are making these substitutions, like Lazyfield coming in and Life being swapped through, and then later Quantum, just because they can, because these players are available, and they're like, well, what we have isn't working. We don't have any other subs that are viable because our challengers team isn't that great, and we can't sub our mid laner into this position. That makes no sense. So I guess we'll just switch the support and see what happens, and nothing is changing. So it feels quite bizarre, and I feel bad for Quantum because, again, it's never his fault that, like, this losing streak continues, but like it feels like
move the needle in any way, though.
we know what Peter's highs are, and like it feels like maybe they should be trying to build that back up instead of playing Duck Dom with yet another support and seeing what he can do. He has a relationship with Life. He has a relationship with Peter. He has a.
Where's Podok? Let's get him back too.
Hey,
I don't understand what the thought process is of playing Quantum for more than like one series. If you play him for a series and it goes well,
scrims, it's working. I don't know.
But like, I feel like obviously there's internal issues going on in the team because these players are not playing at even close to the best level we've seen them. But I feel like it's kind of similar to like when KT was flipping their supports and neither of them was getting full stage time, full practice time. And I feel like at some point you need to commit, and they've obviously said, okay, we're committing to Quantum, but this swapping and changing, I swear teams have done it so many times, not even specifically to the LCK, but you have a sub on the roster. Like, you have a sub who's available to play, who's up to a standard that you think's appropriate. You, like, lose game one, or maybe you have a bad week of scrims, or you lose a series, you sub him in. Was it the player who got subbed out's fault? No, not at all. Maybe it was, but like in a lot of situations, it's like you could have like, I don't know, a top lane sub. Your top laner does fine, the bottom of the map collapses. Well, we lost, let's sub. I feel like sometimes subs are treated in that way where it's like, okay, you had your chance, you didn't win, get the other player in, even if it's not necessarily, the problem wasn't that player.
Yeah.
And it wasn't something that they're necessarily going to be able to solve by coming in. And it's just like, oh, we have to do something. Oh, we did something. Hopefully this makes it better. And I feel like it's not really addressing like the issues with the team or why they lost the game, the series, the scrims. It's just, oh, let's change something, and hopefully that we'll keep changing things till it gets better, and then just keep cycling through.
Yeah, and then never let anything actually settle and find some consistency, which is what a lot of I remember all of the crazy drama that happened when Danny was swapping through the T1 roster for an entire year. Right, like that was the same thing that they were talking about. Like, we can't reach any consistency because no one's consistently on the team. Ultimately, did work out relatively well when they kind of figured out who they wanted to play.
Well, they fired Danny, and then they picked the roster, and then like they won multiple world championships
But
together.
was it Danny's reiteration of the roster that got them there in the end? No, probably not.
Have
But
you guys
still.
seen, by the way, slightly on topic, have you guys seen Danny's like react reels that have been going around on Twitter where his coach cam reactions in the LPL are just like really hilarious, where he's just getting insanely stressed out and upset at his players while he's watching the screen? Very funny.
Perfect. Beautiful.
So the one thing I want to say about the support issue is that at least, we saw effort come in and like totally change the face of KT and make a big difference. But that's effort. That's someone who's a veteran, who has a lot of experience, who obviously works very well with Cuz and has.
But that was during the off season also. Like, they made this change before we even started the season.
Yeah.
So they were clearly leaning into this, right? They were prepping for this. They spent a lot of time before we even played game one to lead to this decision. Well, this is completely different.
And there's the other part, which is, you were talking about Duck Dom and Peter's form. I really do feel like it's a form issue, and that's why we saw KT subbing out Duck Dom a lot, Peter a lot at the beginning of last year. And it didn't work either, but eventually it worked. So I don't know, it's so hard to look behind the curtain and actually know what's going on, but I would assume that, well, they don't have a good sub for Duck Dom, but they do for Peter in their mind. So they're like, Peter, you're not practicing enough or whatever it is. You're just not playing well enough, so we're just gonna put you on the bench. We're not winning anyway, so maybe that'll fire you up to play more solo queue or something. Like, I don't know. It's a lot of conjecture to really know.
Yeah.
But it's hard for us to, Quantum comes in and then it's still not going well, but maybe it wouldn't have gone well with Peter or Life anyway, so maybe they're just I don't know.
But that's my point. If changing the support doesn't change the outcome, it's
then why not go back to what is the highest ceiling option that you
Who's
have?
Who's played together the most? Like, where have your successes been? Like,
Yeah,
what
but
did you build this roster for?
There's more that goes into it because you're,
And who
if
knows
you're
about
Peter,
like what the vibe of the team is as
Yeah.
well? Because it might be that the team's just like, no, it's like this with Peter isn't working. Like maybe they don't vibe with it the same
it could
way
be,
that other teams do.
and maybe it's just targeting Peter and saying, get your shit together,
Yeah.
or you're not going to play.
But I also
And
think, like,
that's not effective, but that could be the reasoning behind it. I would say
It is all a bit of
the thing is with
speculation.
that, like, I wouldn't assume. We don't know, right? What Peter's been like, whether he's been practicing, how much he's been practicing. I would assume
He's
he
playing
would.
a lot worse.
But
so.
that can happen if you're in an environment that's not going well, if you're losing the matches. We saw that like he chose to be subbed out in KT when they went on a big loss streak in the Legend group. But the thing is, they subbed out Peter, then they subbed Life in, and then they aren't using Life either. So, either you assume both of them had similar issues, or maybe the issue isn't with them, and it's more there's a problem in the team, and they're just trying to revolve things until
The
they
word on the
solve it.
team was that Quantum was performing better in scrims. The team was working better in scrims. There was actually an interview done, like asking about why it was the case, and they committed to playing with Quantum for the foreseeable future.
The
That's
the
what
thing
they
with
To be
said.
honest,
Quantum
I
is
believe that like 40% of the time.
Yeah.
I looked at
But
Quantum stats.
it could be true.
And like also we know this about Quantum because he's played in the LCK before. Like CV Max subbed him in for Ondil, if you guys remember, like back in the day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Back on Kwangdong, I want to say. And ultimately, like, he just plays range supports. Like, he plays Enchantress and he plays range supports. His like most played back then was Seraphine. And then this year, including his Challengers games, he'd only played one game of Nautilus and otherwise had only played Enchanters or range supports, like Bard. And he played Nautilus, and it did not go well at all. He played one game of Nautilus, it was
Yeah.
1-0 in Challengers, then he played it in his last match this week, and it was like, you can't put this guy on this champion, I don't think. And his champion pool has always had this issue. We've talked about it years in the past, and like, I look at Peter and I'm like, I know what you're capable of. I know the champion pool you have. I know what Life is capable of. His champion pool is also quite diverse and crazy. He'll play the Set, he'll play the Jarvan. And it just feels like this, it almost feels like that interview is just like an excuse for something that is really going on. I'm speculating, but I just don't see
to
it.
know.
And
There
I
are
don't
a lot
want to
of
blame
things that
Quantum.
are out of the meta now. Maybe that's why. Like you mentioned that Quantum's the range support guy. Well, we are in a meta where there are a lot of range supports that are getting played. So it might be that, Peter, who thrives on the Alistair, yes, his Nico's great, but even Nico has been falling out of favor a little bit. Like a lot of the picks that Peter was finding a lot of success on aren't necessarily as viable.
I just feel like
Right,
what's
maybe?
weird to me is an LCK Cup, the roster with Peter was working, right? That's the best we've seen from this org this year and last year, right? Was that period when they had Peter on the roster. And then after like this, obviously it's not going well right now, but they're like, they've given up on that already. And I just feel like, if you look at KT, I know they were obviously subbing things out and changing things, but like they did say, like when they went on their big long run, it was with Doc Dam, it was with Peter, it was with Perfect, and they committed to that and made it work. And I just think that like the pressure it puts on the players if you're doing this revolving threat of like, oh, play bad in a scrim, you're gone. Have a bad stage
Yeah.
game, you're gone. Like, how does Quantum feel right now after that Nautilus game? Is he gonna be like feeling like, oh, I'm the best person? Or is he thinking like, oh man, are they gonna sub me out for the next match? I just think it's not like it's already clear that like something's not working behind the scenes, and I think this added pressure is just like, I mean, some players thrive from it, right? Having that like kick up the arse, but
We
I
also
don't know.
know that sometimes in orgs, someone who's in a higher up position is just like, this is on, like 1 in 6 is not okay. 1 in 5 or whenever they played Quantum for the first time is not okay. You guys need to make changes. And then the GM is like, we ain't got anybody. There ain't no changes we can make. There's no free agents we can afford. We have 3. We have 2 supports, right? But we have a challenger support we can call up. And that's like kind of the most minimal change you could make to this roster without calling up some of their challengers players who would like probably make this roster catastrophically worse just because they have no experience, which Quantum actually has a lot of experience. And so, like, maybe the GM is getting pressure, like, you guys need to fix this, but he doesn't really understand what's going on. And they're like, we brought Quantum in, you know, like, it could work. That could be something else that's happening. I really hope that's not what's going on, because I feel bad for this squad, especially Closer and Pioshik, who had such a great LCK Cup, as we've talked about already, and had a decent start to the season. Even though they were losing games, they looked really good. And now they just look deflated. Now Pioshik looks like he's just trying to flip a coin half the time, which is like, I know what Pioshik has been known for in the past, but for a while at the beginning of this year, he looked really solid. And it just feels like that's gone now as well.
It is a bit of a shame. I do want to move us on, though,
Yeah, let's
because
get out
that's probably enough dedicated to Quantum. And I think I want to move us to some more positive things to talk about, which is KT at 8-0 on the top of the standings. Currently ahead of HLE with a game score of +4 over theirs as well, which is crazy, sitting at +14 compared to the +10 of HLE, who have lost one match. That was to T1 at the very beginning of the season, if I remember correctly. And KT are just looking really, really good. I believe, are they playing HLE next week?
Yes.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
are.
That is an absolute
Wednesday.
banger. Could be that both teams end up on 8-1 at the end, with KT's winning streak ending, but it's looking good for the 9-0. And that is just the weirdest thing to talk about, as this is unprecedented territory. KT have never been this successful in a regular season ever before.
Well, in 2023, they went 17-1 at the end of the split, but they didn't start off with the streak.
Yeah, sorry, this is the best start they've ever had. Yeah,
But, like, you know, to compare this to last year, right? So last year at week 4 in 2025, they were 3-5. And they did end up going from that to the World's Finals, which is crazy. But now they're starting at 8-0 and +14, which is actually more dominant than last year's most dominant team in Gen G. Gen G was 8-0 with +13 at this point in time last year. And, you know, both the gap was four games above.
Yeah, quite funny that HLE have exactly the same scoreline as this time last year.
Yeah. Well, with one
inconsistent.
extra game win.
Yeah, one extra game win, but it's still like 7-1. It's exactly the same as where they were. Outside of that, who is it? Do we have any other teams that are the same?
D+ is like the Gen G of last year as well, but there are 3 in that 5-3 spot instead of 2 like there was last year. It's fun to see the parallels.
I think as well, thinking back to that 2023 KT roster, like it was the same core, BDD, Cuz, and Aiming, but it was with Keen and Lehens.
Yeah.
And you think of now them having Perfect and Effort. I think if at the start of the year or after LCK Cup, you said they were going to have a similar performance, that 2023 roster, with Perfect and Effort instead of Keen and Lehens, I think most people were like, what?
I would have scoffed.
Yeah, but Perfect he's leveled up like significantly. I mean, that's clear to say. And Effort's addition, obviously, him syncing up with Cuz has clearly worked. I think there was question marks when it was announced.
I'm so used to just being exasperated watching Effort play. Like every other year, watching it play, it's like
I remember we
every
were
time, you know?
co-streaming Challengers, and I was watching Effort, and I was like, oh God, like I don't know if he can, if he can make it in Challengers.
Yeah.
Like he had a year like that not 2 years ago, and something changed. I don't know what it is, but he got a lot better than what he was then.
maybe vibe shift, having your mates back. And also when you're playing support, maybe being on a team with not all 17-year-olds and maybe, people that are closer to, his own experience level was helping him out. I have no idea, but whatever it is, it's working and it makes no sense.
I think it also just goes to show that, especially player with a longer career can still, change his fortunes and turn things around and grow and develop as a player. Like, I think sometimes, especially if a player's struggled and is like at the bottom of the league, and on weaker teams, it's kind of like they get put in this sort of framing where it's like, okay, this is just who they are, where they'll be. But I think it's evidence that these players can turn around with the right opportunity, right team, and just development for themselves can be like a important piece in a really strong roster.
Yeah. And if they make it to MSI, is it the first time KT has ever been to MSI?
I think
Yes,
so, yeah.
I believe so.
Wow, that is very cool.
And
It's
they
like,
might
I'm
win their
thinking-
first ever international event because they've never won an international tournament before.
Yeah, right.
It does make sense at stuff is because for so long it was just one team at MSI.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when it was two, it was just Gen G T1.
Yep. and it feels like it's been Genji T1 or Damwon sprinkled in there. Obviously, MSI started in 2015, so it's been 11 years, including this year's MSI, that we've had it. But it does feel like it's almost always SKT or T1 or Genji or D+. Kingzone, I think, went one time. So technically DRX, I guess you could say, or KRX now, but it was Kingzone at that point, or Longzhu. Longzhu might have been at one as well. There was a decent performance there, but they weren't actually able to win. But still, it does feel funny thinking about a KT that could be heading over to Daejeon for an MSI if they continue this level of dominance.
Well,
Obviously,
such a long way to
HLE
travel.
Yeah, I know. A couple of hours on the train. It's a bit of a rough one.
By a
They'll
couple
just-
of hours, you mean 1 hour. It's just
All right, it's just one.
They'll just arrive in Daejeon and be like, we're here at an international event. Our first international event. Wow.
Beautiful.
You know, it feels like we never left.
Can you guys identify the teams that are close to the boundary and discuss which teams are likely to move up and
Oh,
down
police.
between the tiers?
No, we're skipping that. We're already
are
at
we?
memorable
Okay.
records.
Are we?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
See, I wasn't paying attention.
If you could pay attention to the sheet, please. If you could keep
So,
up.
yeah,
that would be really important.
But you guys don't want to talk about the fact that Genji might not cross the boundary into being a top 2 team? The fact that T1 doesn't look likely to cross that boundary right now into being a top 2 team?
I think Genji might. I think T1 just barely scraped by against Bro and B&K, so I think I'm still on the fence on that one.
I like, you know, if we're talking in terms of match records, it might be a struggle to catch up with the teams at the top. But in terms of form, like, you never ruling Genji or T1 out.
No, I just watched Genji like methodically obliterate Nongshim in like the most boring and yet suffocating oppressive series ever. I think that they might be making their way back to doing some winning. I think my pred for the Genji KT rematch might change just a little. Or not change. I think I predded Genji in that series earlier on this season. But still, I think I'm probably sticking to the Genji. That's where my head's at.
I'm a little bit, I keep going back to like that Guma crystal ball prediction where he was like the top teams will not be the top teams anymore. And that has still held true, right? Like Genji and T1, the form looks a little shaky, even though they're still 5-3. Like there's up there with D+. The gap between Genji and Hanwha is 5 games right now. Same with T1. They're both at +5. Like it's a 5-game gap. But it feels like it could be like a 7-game or 8-game gap if some of those wins that they barely got were actually losses. And then you'd be looking at, you know, T1 at 6th place right now, for example. Like that's a world we could be living in. And so I think something really needs to change. You know, Canyon's looking better right now, but he's been very up and down. Faker looking really weak at the moment, having his worst like KDA of his career ever, the most deaths he's ever had in his career in a single game this weekend.
Yeah, they need to stop giving him a 0 into a Kali.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we can just wave our hands and be like, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm a little bit like, this is like we've been stressed about T1 when they're at like 7-1, you know, oftentimes in these seasons where they're like, oh, okay, they barely got a few of those wins, but they're still 7-1, they're still 2nd place, or they're still top 3. And sometimes there have been times where we get to like round 1 of summer season when we used to have the 2-split system, where T1's slumping a little bit, you know, Faker gets an injury or something like that, and then eventually they go and win Worlds. But we're seeing this happen quite early this season, and it feels like the inconsistency is consistent. They're consistently not performing at their peak, and so that might mean this is just where they are, and that's kind of interesting. Like, I've been talking about this for a few weeks now, and I think Degon put it best when he said it just makes the league quite interesting to see these two teams not just be at the top and actually to maybe be in the middle. It's might be the reality we're looking at for the next few months. Who knows?
The thing is, I agree with Genji for sure, but you know, T1, even if we look at like last year, they were 4-4 then, and I feel like they've never been as consistent in the regular season, and sometimes had like muddy records and taken time to figure things out. So, you know, I feel like them being at 5-3 with a 3-win streak, I'm not super concerned. The thing is, like, Genji this is unprecedented territory. Like, all the stats about how this is same losses combined that they've had in like the last 2 years of regular season. We've never seen them in this position in recent history, and I feel like that's the one I'm like, you know, it's new ground. because T1 have had these issues and like overcome them regularly. They've had various finishes in the league, but Gen G have just been that first place team for the most part, or occasionally second, and that's why I think they're harder to judge, especially because it seems to keep happening. I know today was like the exception, but like it was like the up for the T1 and the down again when they beat them. So that's the one I'm really less sure about. But
I mean,
I think
feeling
T1
like Gen
is
G are
like
probably just going to right the ship. I think they were experimenting with taking some time off at the beginning of the season because they were running into burnout. I think they were like, "Oh, what does T1 do
Honestly,
to
a good
always
idea.
win?" And
Lose.
maybe they've just taken a bunch of the pressure off. They're also
Yeah.
getting used to Ryu's coaching style and stuff like that as well. I could imagine, but I don't know whether that's necessarily something worth talking about. I just think that it might just be a mindset change. With this is regular season. Stop putting as much pressure on yourselves so you're not burnt out by the time you're at the matches that really matter.
I'm really excited by Hama Life Esports, actually, because when they first started, they took that one loss. I forget who that was against.
T1?
But it was... Oh, that was the T1 loss. Okay. Yeah, they lost to T1 immediately, and we were like, doesn't look so good. And some of their wins were also... like they won against Bro 2-0, but it was like a shaky 2-0 in
did
week
they have
one.
a 2-1 against Nongshim as well?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was-
Whereas
wasn't that
we
Wednesday?
saw...
Well, no, actually, that was very recently. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was...
Yeah.
Yeah. And like Nongshim, as we know, is very much confusing, and they don't really know where they are either. But HLE, they really got it all together. Even Delight has been looking really good. He picked up 2 POMs recently. It feels like he's back on engaged supports. They're going very aggressively. They're playing differently from a lot of pretty much every other team in the league, except I guess maybe FearX. But FearX at this point is like they're like trying to do what HLE are doing, but they're just like Jin, just dropping a bunch of bullets all over and tripping over their shoelaces. It's kind of sad. But HLE, I really like their play style, and I think that the match against KT is going to tell us a lot because it's 2 conflicting play styles where KT is very balanced and macro-oriented. HLE could definitely, I think, win that one.
There is
and then
not-
that's a really interesting world where that kind of play style finally like flourishes in the LCK, and then maybe it's the best. They might just be the best team if they take down KT.
There is not any other LCK team, like not even close, that has the clear identity that Hana Life Esports has. Like they play only one way, and it doesn't matter. You can't take the picks away from them in draft because they have enough backups in a best of 3 to just be able to still play the style every time. And I don't think that even necessarily changes in best of 5s later on, but they know exactly what they're going to do all the time, which is so fun to watch because you know what you're going to get. It's like going to a fast food chain or like just any type of chain, right? You're not worried about the consistency of the coffee. Like you're not going to a new restaurant for the first time being like, well, I've heard good things, but let's wait and see. You know exactly what you're going to get. And even if they lose, you know exactly why. You could probably explain. Like if they lose to KT, like I feel like we could say right now why that happened. And if the result is that KT
Before the
beats them on
match.
Wednesday, it'll absolutely be true, right?
I think that it's really interesting thinking about HLE because the 2 teams that remind me of HLE right now from the past are probably Dom1 2020 and T1 2023. Obviously, 2023 T1 is probably because the 80 carry and top lane are exactly the same. But still, the way that they play through an explosive top side of the map with a creative jungler, right? Like that was Canyon 2020, right? He was hyper aggressive, the best at everything. He was super good. I think that Kanavi is a little bit more on the hyper aggressive side and does make a few more mistakes than maybe what made Canyon so good in 2020. But I still think that like I can see that sort of style within this team and the ability to play 1-3-1 really well. The fact that they have so much flexibility as far as the picks is concerned, maybe not necessarily as much in the mid lane as some of those other examples, but I think that it, like you say, like the identity is absolutely there, and people haven't necessarily, like other teams haven't found ways to mitigate it just yet.
It reminds me of the T1 double marksman bottom lane meta, where it was like T1 was the only one doing that, and everyone else was like, we should probably be doing that. That
guess
seems
we have
really
to do it.
good.
That was
and then the whole world,
2022, right?
Yeah, the whole world started copying T1. I'm starting to feel like if Hana Life Esports beat KT and get the first seed to MSI and then win MSI, the whole world is going to be like, I guess everyone needs to be Kanavi. I guess everyone needs to be diving. I guess everyone needs to be going in all the time.
I really like the Kanavi story because in LCK Cup he looked so silly. Like, he would go in and just look like a fool. Every game we were like, what the hell is he doing? Like, that is absolutely psychopathic. Like, why is he doing this crazy thing? And he's like, no, just watch. Like, give me a couple months. Like, I'll convert my whole team and also define a jungle meta around my, picks and the itemization that I do for them. It's kind of crazy. Like, it must take a lot of confidence to be able to do that, because I feel like, not much has changed outside of, like, he pulled it back like a tiny bit, and then the rest of his team followed him and, like, kind of created this identity of current HLE. But
I think
is
Zeka
just like,
also stepped up.
this is the way.
And so, like, there isn't that hole in the mid lane that I think we were experiencing a bit during the LCK Cup.
Yeah.
And a jungler trying to play around zero pressure from mid lane is not able to do the things that Kanavi wants to do, sort of, ever. And so that makes things a little bit more difficult.
Isn't it crazy that these two teams that are in the top of our league right now are, in my mind, the fastest growth we've seen from, like, two teams, like, in how many years? Like, to see both, like, HLE obviously had a really rough LCK Cup. They had a better Kespa Cup. They looked a lot better there.
Yeah.
But some teams were missing, right?
Honeymoon phase.
Including KT, who weren't there. But KT also had a middling LCK Cup, weren't that great. And then in KT's case, they changed their support. They decide on a third mystery support that we didn't even expect. And High Life Esports just get their playstyle together, and suddenly these teams shoot to the top, like, incredibly quickly. And it just feels like Gen.G and T1 are kind of still living in their own, we're the best, we have the best macro, we take every fight because we got the hands, our drafts are good, we're solid. Whereas KT and HLE are like, no, we actually figured something out that works for us, and we're moving forward. And it kind of feels like Gen.G and T1, not that they're stuck in the past. I'm not trying to say, like, they can't evolve, they can't change, but they're still doing what's best for them with the same rosters, but they haven't evolved, and maybe they're getting kind of, in a weird way, like, outscaled by these two teams that have really figured out what's the best way to play right now in 2026.
Well, I think if there's, like, Gen.G, obviously, but I think BNK FearX might be another example, because they were our top two teams, and we talked a lot about these were the only two teams that kept the same roster. They performed extremely well in the LCK Cup, went to first down, and obviously didn't have a great final performance there, but now have just tanked so much, like, significantly worse than we saw from them there. And it does make me think that you're right, that, like, the teams who took the time away, thought about how they want to play, how we want to improve, have skyrocketed. And then we have these teams who are still kind of maybe holding on to even, like, last year, or, like, they were strong because they already had their systems in place, already had their core established, they already had the team how they wanted to be, and then haven't kept up as teams have adapted. Because I think often throughout the year it is a race to keep up and adapt and improve.
Yeah.
I think generally T1 has been pretty good at doing that. Whereas I feel like even when Gen.G has been on top, they've never been a team that I've thought they're, like, a great adaptation team. It's like they start at the top, they finish at the top of the regular season and the playoffs, and then
It's almost like you hope, if you're a Gen.G fan, that the meta goes to somewhere that Gen.G already are, instead of Gen.G going to meet where the meta is what it always feels like.
I think that's why they've struggled at Worlds as well, because Worlds is a race to conquer the meta and figure things out. And you see teams ramp up over it, like T1 often does, like, struggled in their first series against IG and then went on to win the whole thing. And I think we're kind of seeing that here, where these teams, KT and HLE, are winning the race in terms of, like, developing compared to the teams that are kind of stuck in the past.
Also, some superstar performances from individual members at the same time. Like, you guys are definitely right, but also, like, BDD is actually a robot. I think that's confirmed.
Seriously, actually confirmed as a robot, yeah.
As you mentioned before, Zeka stepped up in a big way. Kanavi is defining...
Stepped back in a big way, in a good way.
And everything clicked. But yeah, like, some individual performances from some of these players, whereas, like, on the side of T1 and Gen.G, it's like, ooh, Canyon, what's going on there? You're getting out jungled by, like, Gideon, how did that happen? And T1 is like, oh, Faker died 9 times,
But Carrier is absolutely incredible.
Carrier, I mean, I
said a
tweeted
bad
about this
word,
today,
but,
but,
like,
like,
he deserved
Carrier
it.
is out of control good. And remember when T1 were struggling last year, you mentioned the 4-4 scoreline, but they struggled in many years past, and it's like, okay, well, Owner's going to get it done, don't worry. Now it's like Carrier's going to get it done, don't worry. on Lux, by the way, like in that game where
Some
he
of
got
his
the double
bindings,
binding. I was yelling at the TV. I was losing it. It was crazy. And then
He did it like 3 times in the one game. He
Yeah.
could have done it once, and I would have still mentioned it in this show. Like,
not to mention
It's
his laning
stupid.
phase, which was incredible as well. Like,
yeah.
That's what I think. Like, I feel like there are still some individuals putting on really strong performances in T1 and Gen G, but it feels like the collective is not
Yeah.
all there.
Yeah. I think Keen is still really good. And I think Genji showed us today against Nongshim that they still have it, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that they got the macro together for that game is sort of the biggest thing, because that's what's kind of been missing for me, is that Genji's coordination around the map, understanding like the tempo, the game state every single time. Like, they used to move like a metronome. Like, they knew exactly where they needed to be. Like, the ebb and flow of the game was in their control. Like, they knew when it was all happening. And they've been kind of scrambling over the last few weeks.
It felt like they were just kind of before opting into fights and then not always like the expectation before was they would just outplay, they'd win them. But it felt like it was just kind of like, let's handshake all these fights and
Yeah.
then hopefully we win. And
But
then
also
they win
doing
at
it with
that
like
level.
wave states in weird spots as well, like where
Yeah.
it's not supposed to be like the Genji way.
I feel like today they were more willing to like reassess and you know have Keen pushed in the side lane and wait for the right opportunity and were more patient with it.
Yeah, Genji definitely played well. You guys are correct, but I was on the space with Wadid and Umpty, and let me tell you, they were ripping Nongshim a new one. Like, just
Yeah.
everything was wrong, like every decision, and we brought some of that into the space segments as well, like really
Yeah,
highlighting
your
like
point around the
King
dragon
shouldn't
fight
be
or
here,
whatever? Yeah,
should
yeah.
be there. What are they doing? Like, they don't know what they're doing.
Nongshim was so lost today. It was
Yeah.
it was actually
So,
kind of infuriating.
It
to
was
watch.
easier for Genji for sure, but maybe it's
I mean, that does, like,
go in the
Genji's
right
play
direction.
exemplifies how lost Nongshim were, though, right? Like, it's chicken or the egg. A little bit.
It's
Obviously, if you drop the ball, then the other team's going to look good.
yeah.
But it did feel like Genji did not let them ever get back in. And that's why
Genji were
the
good
series
today.
was hard. Yeah, definitely a good performance from them. One team that we haven't really spoken about, a team that I feel has been somewhat of an enigma this season so far, is D+. Yeah. And I think that we need to talk to Wolf about this because every time when we get to about this episode each year, this is where Wolf needs to decide whether they're frauds or not.
So
like, is he going to fall for it again?
I was on Let's Cover Korea last week talking with Dion about this, and I said, and I believe it, this team is going to drop. Like, this team is not going to stay consistent. Or maybe they're already not consistent, right? But they're not going to be able to compete, in my mind, as a top 3 team. They'll probably make the Legend group, especially with Nongshim just kind of, I don't know, their dips are like, it's like a stock graph where it's like buy now while it's low. But like D+ they've been drafting well, but the play hasn't backed it up to me. A lot of these drafts where Shiu gets like the range top, you're like, nice, and then he's like flanking on Varus, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. That's not really
did
what,
do a bit of that.
not really exactly how that's supposed to go, but it was a good try. I think D+ also have the problem that Career is still not able to necessarily be the right place at the right time all the time. His hands are really good, and sometimes he has the exact right reads, but it's just not consistent enough. And he's competing with Carrier, he's competing with Duro, because those are the spots you're fighting for. I don't think D+ is going to be better than Hanwha or KT this year. I don't think that's going to happen unless something crazy happens to either of those teams. So you're really competing with Genji and T1 if you want that top 3 spot. If you want that world spot, later on this year,
Yeah.
that's where you're fighting for. So we need to see this team ramp up in a big way. We know Showmaker gets tired. He gets real tired. He gets burnt out. He gets depressed almost. It feels like in some of these games later on in the year. I think if they make Legend Group, though, that'll be a big boon for them. For the same reasons I said this last year, where I was like, oh, Showmaker sometimes just drops the ball against weaker teams for some reason, almost because he's just not challenged by them and he doesn't play as well, but he seems to punch up a lot better. I think if they do make the Legend Group, that'll help them a lot. But I'm very much ready to not fall for it. Like, I'm not trying to, even though we talked a lot about how Genji and T1 have been inconsistent, D+ is this new challenger. I'm not ready to believe this team is going to finish this season, or even like when we hit Road to MSI, that they're going to be in top 3. I don't predict that to happen.
At what point, like, what would they have to do to get over the line for you to be like, okay, they've proven it?
I want them to play like 3 series in a row where they look dominant the same way that KT or HLE does against weak teams. Even doesn't matter. I want to see 3 like 2-0s in a row where we're like, wow. The macro was good. They were able to win lane. The drafting didn't have any disasters randomly for some reason. CV Max, what's going on?
Their drafts have been
They
good
have
over
been
the
pretty
last,
good.
3 matches.
Yeah, but like the play, they are on a 3-game winning streak. But I don't, there were moments there when we were a little bit worried.
Remember, their strength of schedule right now is really easy as well. They started off really strong, and they took down Genji.
Genji, yeah.
They beat
Yeah.
Genji, and they beat
Genji for the
T1.
first time in 22 series.
Yeah.
Something like
No,
that.
they didn't beat T1, right? Because T1 lost to Genji.
They did. They did beat.
I think they did beat 2-1.
T1. Yeah.
I'll check.
So
Did they beat T1?
they got some really big wins, and then
They did beat T1.
Coming
That
into
was
the end of the
Wolf's
round.
perfect week. That
Yeah.
was
Yeah, that
on
was my
Saturday.
prediction. Yeah.
Coming
Oh,
into the
yeah,
end of the
oh,
week,
yeah.
coming into the end of the round, they
Because T1 beat HLE. Yeah. I got you.
they are just playing weak teams. So it does feel like this could be a moment where it's like we're riding the high, but also maybe our focus isn't 100%. So some of the games look weak, but we're still very strong, and they're going to end up like 6-3 by the end of round 1, and that's a very solid scoreline. And really, they just have to replicate like the high highs again, like career with the binding on the Bard against Genji and stuff like that. Like their ability to play the game is still very high as long as they are able to hit that high. But I don't know. I'll believe it when I see them do it again in round 2. I'm not really too concerned with them kind of like half throwing some games against some weaker teams, because I feel like everybody kind of does that, when they're middle of the pack at least. But yeah, if they can beat Genji again, I think that's a really good sign.
Yeah.
I just
that'd be
don't.
huge.
I feel like I ever cast outside of the games this week. By the way, this week wasn't real. Like
Yeah.
I got a back-to-back 10 out of 10 predictions. By the way,
Wolf got the perfect preds, and then let's see. Everyone on the team except Degon and Umpty got
And Degon
perfect.
voted for Bro, and
Yeah, he
Umpty
was
went
basically
for the
trolling.
Umpty went for the B&K upset over T1 today. Like
Which-
he kind of rolled the dice. He's like, oh, I think this
Yeah.
could
It
be
could
like
have
a
happened.
thing. Yeah.
By the way, it's not as bad as what Pony did, where he went for Nongshim and B&K today.
So this week we did have that. I think there was at least one D+ game this week where this applies, but I don't feel like I see as many D+ games that are dominant the same way like the Genji game was dominant today, or the KT game.
Yeah, they don't
against
have
Bro was.
stability. They never have
Yeah.
stability. You're always anxious.
Yeah, they never have the game where you're just like, wow, they're better. They're better, and they're winning every lane.
Wait,
they won the
actually, no.
macro.
Their series against Bro was complete.
That was
and
this week,
utter
though, right?
obliteration. That was this week.
Yeah, this
That
week
one-
is this week was the one where it's like, oh, these are all.
Yeah, we were
freebie
talking
matches,
about like
but-
names that start with J. That whole series. That was not even remotely close.
yeah.
Jiddlesticks. Still
Jarvan
that song.
Jajol.
Jarvan to draw.
So I don't know. I want to see. I know this take is probably depressing to a lot of D+ fans, or maybe they feel like it's correct and true because they know the truth. But
It's all right. D+ fans are generally all very level-headed,
Yeah, like Mauhaus.
like Mauhaus. Yeah.
Mauhaus, I wouldn't call him level-headed. We already discussed the whole Stroopwafel situation.
Yeah.
That's true. You really need to just take his key away.
Also, if you ever say something like, predictions are just a bit of fun,
Oh,
you will not see a level-headed man.
yeah, that's true. Fuming.
Jesus.
Where are we on the sheet, please?
Bro snapped a 16-match losing streak against Fear X.
They did do that. The Bros, okay.
however,
Wolf-
they've already lost 3 games after reaching enemy nexus turrets.
Yeah, they've gotten very close. Wolf, do you want to talk to us about? I know you've mentioned the Bros already when we were doing our standings thing. You wanted to put them further up. They are sitting at 1-7 right now. I wouldn't say that it's an admirable place to be. However, they do have +2 game score in comparison to DNS on the same scoreline. They've been taking a game here or there. The
I think-
fountain laser's kind of working sometimes.
I think they have really good reads in the early game. I think that their players are very talented. And surprisingly, Romer is in that list as well, as we saw in his last game. This team has a setup with the jungle and top side with Gideon and casting that is actually quite robust. I think casting is way underrated, in my opinion. I also think that Teddy as a win con is super consistent. So if they could just play through an early game where they get ahead and then Teddy scales and they win the game, that would work, right? Seems like it's going to work. Seems like it's going to work so many times. Like, wow, bro's 4,000 gold ahead.
Yeah.
Surely this won't backfire. But then we get to objective fights. They don't know how to do it. They don't know how to set up. They don't know how to play from ahead. Believe it or not, they're ahead and then they're like, whoa, what do we do now? This is a little bit strange.
And I'm not in my comfort zone. Please let me run back to
it's
losing.
Almost like it's one of those things you have to learn by being ahead a lot. Actually, maybe they should be scrimming against challengers teams or something instead of scrimming against LCK teams, because maybe in their scrims they're like never ahead and they don't know what to do and they've been told what to do but they don't actually feel it. When you're always like, it feels like bro's always in most cases like trying to retake a dragon, trying to retake a Baron, trying to get vision on Baron, trying to defend their jungle. Instead of like, oh, wow, like we actually need to set up vision across their jungle. We need to actually set up a trap for their jungler coming through. We need to make sure their jungler can't get into the pit and steal the objective away. We need to do these things instead of being on the other side trying to get in and steal it. And I think that's the kind of thing that comes with being in those game states where you actually have the ability to practice that and feel it and vibe it out. I mean, obviously Teddy's been there quite a lot, but the rest of them, like Namgung, he's got like no experience, right, comparatively. So I think that's the issues that Bro have with their otherwise strong game plans. And this happens a lot with teams that don't know how to shot call. Same with DNF. We saw it last year where you know how to play the early game because someone can tell you what to do step by step with your draft. And you can know it. And then when it gets to the part where it's not in the recipe, like when it's not in the formula, you're like,
the sheet.
The next step is like, and then play the game out. They're like, what do you mean by that? Like, tell me exactly what to do.
Don't close the door, Dad. I will not go to sleep.
Same with Joker with the coach voice, right? Like, coach voice has run out. What do we do now?
It's kind of like with chess, how you can like learn all the openings, but then when you get to the end game, it's like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's not that same basis, and we've learned all these, practiced every move. Because I feel like in their series this weekend, they were being pretty decisive around the early objectives and being like, hey, we're TPing someone in. We're going for this. We know what we're doing. We're getting Gideon grubs, you know?
Yeah.
But it definitely feels like later on they kind of just lost their heads. And in fairness, it was up against a T1 who obviously are, even though they're not being in the best form, are a competitive team. And it makes you think if you can have a close series like that, even though it was a 2-0 against T1, like it's a good omen. But I think part of it is that they're so deep in the standings now. It's going to take a mammoth effort to like claw their way out from there and approach, potentially going to Road to MSI or the Legend group. But I think this weekend's match was at least promising, but I hope they can maintain that.
Broma re-debut.
Broma looked good.
Probably one of the better re-debuts in a loss that we've seen in a very long time. So maybe that's a shred of hope for the bros.
I mean, there's always hope, but
I was hoping that I could look to Valdez for the positive take here.
Yeah, so
and then he made very sad noises.
The only the issue I have with Bro is that the only player individually who can actually have carry moments to me is Teddy, and that's only recently as well. Like there've been many years where even Teddy looked a little bit deflated, and it kind of just reminds me of old Janair, where it's like, well, you have Teddy, and maybe he just fountain lasers your team to a victory, but probably you're going to end up like 2-16 by the end of the season. Unfortunately, like you think about another team that kind of revolved around an 80 carry that kind of needed to step up sometimes and like grab the reins. That was like Viper with HLE, where it was like sometimes everybody's doing wacky stuff, and then he's like, okay, I'm just gonna carry now. I'm gonna lock. I'm gonna
lock
carry.
in.
Yeah,
and he would do that, but like he was also surrounded by like some fantastic veteran players that at least knew how to do the basics and wouldn't be inconsistent with their timings or their engages and stuff like that. Like we've seen, you were talking about Namgung, like sometimes he's great, other times not good at all. And like same with, we had Loki for a while. Even Gideon is like, sometimes you look at him, he's like, this guy could be a top jungler. And other times you're like, what the hell is he doing? So there's
Don't play Sejuani anymore.
like Viper could carry surrounded by the players that he had in some of those games, but I don't feel like Teddy can do it, even in the form he's in right now, which looks pretty good.
We did see Casting play a bit better, especially in the T1 series. I thought that he had a pretty decent time. Obviously, we mentioned Roma already. Namgung is such a wild card, though. You're exactly right. Like, the Pike game, really great, but like sometimes he just straight up runs it down for an entire series.
At least he was great and then
Yeah.
straight up ran it down.
He was
After.
playing
Yeah,
Nico,
immediately after,
you know,
same
and he
series.
gets an amazing engage, and then he dies 3 times alone in the jungle, and you're like, what? Like, how are we going to win a game like that? you know?
He is very rookie support coded. Very fun to watch, but I think, I feel like he needs to build on that consistency, and there's such a long leap from that to like our top supports. Because again, you can have the high potential, the high highs, but you need to. I think support is a role that can so easily spiral in a game.
Oh yeah.
Especially with some of the picks we have now. Because I think before, even though Nautilus was a popular pick and he was a Squishious, and that as a pick you can just chain die. Stuff like Rel and Alistair. You're very bulky. There's like such a wide sphere for what is an acceptable position to be in. But if you're playing something like, I think the reason we praised Carrier so much, because if you're playing something like Lux, thin margins. If you're slightly in the wrong position, you are just dead. And I think there's a lot of stuff in the meta right now where like it's so easy to just fall on your face. I mean, Bard is like one of the most popular supports right now.
Who's that player that played Karma and died like 8 times in a row to T1?
Wasn't that Korea? Yeah, that was Korea. That was Korea. Yeah.
Was that in the
that's another
same
one.
series that they won? Was it in the 5-gamer where like that was when he had like the mini mental breakdown, but then
I think it was the series before that.
I think it might have been the
was it?
It
series
was like the
before.
best of 3, and he just kind of like.
It felt like they just specifically targeted him because they were like, "Hey, this guy,
Yeah.
he's
He's a noob.
He's a bit too
New
green.
guy."
Let's show him how it's done around here." But
Oh god.
yeah, I think there's just so many. Like Nico was an example. Like remember we had that period where we're like, should our supports even pick Nico because they were struggling so much? I think Bard's another example of a pick where it's easy just to like flub completely.
You do need to be a Bard guy to play Bard. We have a lot of
But
them.
everybody's trying to be a Bard guy
But
nowadays.
the problem is, I think Bard has risen in priority so much. It's no longer just guys carry as a
no
Bard
longer
guy.
fringe,
Let's
yeah.
ban it. It's
standard.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Nico. As Nico was like at that point where like teams were just banning it, but there's so many contested bans that these picks, like you maybe have a budget to ban Bard against teams like T1, but a lot of the time you don't have the budget to ban Bard or these other supports until you get to like second rotation, and then it's just banning combos of like Ash Seraphine or Corki Nami or stuff like that. And I just think that like it's not enough to be like I'm just gonna stick in my lane. Like the support meta at the moment, you have to get comfortable with these picks, or you end up being a liability in draft, especially with Fearless at play. Makes it a lot harder.
It is a bit rough. I am going to move us a little bit forward, though. There are a couple more milestones that did get achieved. For example, DRX did finally manage to win a Saturday Showdown. They hadn't been able to do that before, so congratulations to them. Able to take down, I believe, Nongshim in that series. So it was a big test for them, actually, in that Saturday show. I remember I was giving my son a walk in the pram to get him to sleep, and I was listening to it, and I'm like, why do they sound like they're saying that DRX are going to win? And then they won. And it was kind of insane. Also, Zeka broke an 18-match best of 3 losing streak against Chovy, which is somewhat impressive with their victory over Gen G on... Was that the same day? Might have been.
It says
No,
at the
wasn't.
same time.
It was around the same time.
Wait, what? Yeah.
No.
Wait, are you asking?
At the same time, they
He was talking about the BO3.
Yeah, they ended a 20-match losing streak against Gen G, which had lasted 5
I don't
years.
think that's... What?
Apparently.
But
Presumably
they beat them in the finals.
20 match best of 3.
Best
losing
of
streak.
3 losing streak. I think regular
I
season,
presume.
I assume.
Must
Which is
be.
a very, it's
Yeah.
a specific stat, but it is
It is
also
a
fun.
specific-
It is something.
Yeah,
They,
because
they
also,
did definitely lose in the finals when Orcs was correct.
yeah, and also Chovy did lose to Zeka in best of 5s in
Yeah.
certain.
Yes, there was a time where that happened prior to 5 years ago.
Yes.
It just wasn't the last one. So yeah, pretty specific. However, still a stat that's kind of cool. But now it's the fun bit. I wanted to get to this because we get to revisit some quotes from this time last year. So in 2025, like actually at this episode after round 1,
Week 4.
we had a few of these quotes about our teams, and we're just going to see whether they retain any relevance. Even if a lot of the players have changed, of course, not on Gen G's side, but it's just kind of fun to have a look at them, especially when...
You know what? I feel like we should just take them at face value and act as if they're about our current season.
That would actually be very funny. Okay,
Yeah.
Wolf, what did you say about Gen G? Can you read the first
The
one
only
for us?
question for Gen G is how long can they maintain this form? I don't think it's going to be the perfect season, even though they look to be so incredibly dominant right
You know
now.
what? I agree. I don't
I think you're onto something, Wolf.
That's a good call.
They
I don't
did not
think it's
get
going to
the
be a
perfect season last year either. They were
Yeah,
stopped.
They didn't.
Yeah.
They did lose a game.
Wait, no, I don't think they can get it this season either.
Thanks, Ox.
All right, Brendan, what's the next one?
So Valdez said 1 year ago today, 2 rookies for DK, D plus Kia. 2 rookies are just now the two most consistent players on their team for the bot duo. They're the veterans. They're reliable in their own way, but it just feels like the X factor kind of comes up from the top 2 guys in the map. And then Showmaker, he's great. And then he's like, I don't want to play anymore.
Are you sure this is from last year? Or was this from 2024, 2023, or 2022?
Yeah,
Hang
that
on.
part, I think.
They shouldn't have told us the year. They should have just said date this quote.
Because like that, because before it was like that Canyon and Khan top jungle duo was pretty good. You know, it was pretty
Yeah.
solid up there.
And you were talking, obviously, about my boy in the bottom lane who is now gone back then.
Was it aiming?
Nuggery,
Barrel?
you know, Nuggery
Aiming
and
barrel,
Canyon
right?
pretty
Yeah.
good top. They're
Yeah.
kind of carrying when Showmaker doesn't want to play the game anymore.
Ugh,
So I think I said the 2 rookies are the most consistent. So that was Shu and Lucid.
Lucid, yeah.
And then I was talking about the bot duo. I said they're the veterans.
But
They're
now,
reliable.
if we frame it this way, the 2 rookies are Smash and Korea,
In
Yeah.
the bottom lane, yep.
which
And honestly, you just reverse where you're going, and it's the same story. Outside of Smash being probably the most consistent player, Korea makes up for it,
Yeah.
which is a bit of a tough one. I've got the next one, though. Remember at the start of the year where we were like, B&K is just a combination of 5 bad players?
wow.
Wow,
I
so
said
mean,
that.
Atlas.
We did
Ah.
we did believe that though.
We
Yeah.
thought they'd be brain boom to start the whole thing off and then never recover. But now look, they made it to 2-6.
I think around that time I was also still not a Diablo believer. I was like, no, this guy is not. He's not going to be doing it.
Well, maybe
Whereas
we should
now-
reassess
And
that.
now-
now
You're a Daystar
you're
believer.
right again still.
Yeah,
yeah.
Diablo kind of. I don't know what happened to him.
Man, I was so
My
mean
boy
and
Daystar
yet,
though, that Akali today, really good. Almost won. All right, on to the next one.
yeah. This is,
Atlas.
oh, is it me again?
Yes.
All
About T1.
right, and then there's 2 wolves. We need Daniel to do one. Do you want to take one of mine, Daniel?
I'll take this one.
Yeah, you can take the T1 one.
Almost all of the series that T1 have played have been incredibly close. Like, it doesn't matter who they're playing against, they will be playing for the maximum amount of time, and they will stress out their fans as much as is humanly possible before maybe winning or maybe losing.
I mean,
That could be any year.
That
Literally
happened this
any year.
weekend.
That actually just happened today.
yeah.
Yeah, this is timeless, honestly.
Yeah, this one's beautiful. I can't believe you said that. Really,
I can believe it.
At Loxless.
It's really like it's really quite a specific statement to make, right? Like that the games have been close and they might win or lose. So like
they're gonna
Wait,
stress their fans.
are
Like
you
the fans will be
being
stressed.
the fans will also
facetious?
be upset if they lose and excited if they win. The fans will then have emotions based on the result.
so you're saying that perhaps it's a little bit like a horoscope. Is that what you're saying, Wolf?
Kind of, yes.
However, it is still right. And so therefore, it makes you go,
I'm very ready for Wolf's
I
next
like
one.
this
yeah,
one.
please.
So mine was about KT last year, where at that point they were 3 and 5.
I'm sorry, I read ahead. I'm sorry, but I read ahead. Just go on.
Okay.
Gets better and better the more you read.
This team has no quality traits, like as a 5-man unit. KT is a 2-man unit with like 3 moons orbiting or something. And like, Peter's a big moon, but he's still a moon.
What did he mean by that?
What did you mean by this?
And by the way, just for context, he meant that Peter is pretty good,
Yeah.
but he's not big enough to be
And
part of
this
the
was
planet.
his BDD and Cuz planet with Peter as a moon. Duckers and Perfect were not involved.
No, they were
This
like
team-
Pluto. We're debating whether or not they're really connected.
This team went to a world championship.
No quality
World
treats, by the
Championship
way.
Finals. By the way, Peter was still a big moon in the finals. He was still a moon, so it was kind of still true.
Yeah, no, it was. I think it was entirely still accurate. And
I
now,
unfortunately don't think it's accurate right now.
no, no, I don't think so. I think that Perfect has found his way to the planet. There was a catastrophic accident, and the moon has crashed. Like, it was Majora's Mask, but Link did not save the day this time, and that particular moon did make it. That's what I'm thinking.
So apparently, our next one is also me, but it has Atlas as well. So I guess I'll start.
All right, we can do it tandem.
It's
Pretend
about
you're reading a
DNF.
script.
All right.
So this is in regards to DNF at week 4 being 0 and 8, and what they should do to
God.
turn it around. I think with the spam solo queue grind, that was like, if that sort of approach is being applied here, I think it's the worst possible thing. I'd rather see like Berserker chill on the bench somewhere and watch like the top in jungle and then the mid and support like tie their feet together and do a 3-legged race. So basically, I'm saying,
Hang on.
What happened in
We
that
should have
episode?
said they need to drink cast together. Yes. Oh, I take you need to drink cast together, and then you'll be all better. I don't know whether that's a direct
typos in
quote,
the script, yeah, but
but I don't care. I hope that that's exactly what I said.
I wasn't in this episode, and I am currently wondering what the hell you guys were getting up to.
Basically, you guys were talking about the fact that no amount of League of Legends spam will help at this point. They just need to like go to a sauna together
Yeah.
and talk it out
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
nothing they're doing is working.
And then I said just
and,
get
like,
drunk.
Yeah, just
and
get
then
drunk
hope
together.
That numbs the
So
pain.
we
Get the
ultimately
vibes
decided they
good.
should do what in Korea is called a workshop, where you just go with your teammates, go to the top of a mountain somewhere, get extremely drunk, talk it
drink
out, get
massive
close
amounts
to
of
your
makgeolli.
colleagues, fight with your colleagues, and then come back to the company on Monday extremely hungover, being more productive.
Yeah, but like more emotionally secure in
Yes.
where you are with your
Because
your
now you
teammates.
understand like your team leader's family problems as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, that's apparently exactly what you said,
Yeah.
but you actually said it with these words instead on the page.
Their feet together
instead
to
of
do a 3-legged race.
which I think is actually just kind of beautiful and kind of perfect. So if we go back and have a look, there are a few things that have stayed the same. My completely ambiguous thing about T1, which is they played games and they won, but it doesn't matter. Like if they lose, then they would be stressful, and then when you see them win, then it's still stressful or something like that. That is definitely
Yes.
true, but it is not very clear. The first one, Gen G, they will not be able to maintain. They will not be able to get the perfect year. So that one not going to be sticking through. We've just got DK upside down,
Yeah,
and it
Similar
still
vibe.
remains true.
but yeah.
And at the beginning of this year, we didn't say there were a combination of 5 bad players.
Yeah, no. We said that they were actually a combination of players that got it together and then it fell apart. So it's sort of the opposite for B&K. I don't know which is more depressing, personally.
And Peter, is he still a big moon since he's been sent to outer space? He's been sent to outer space by
Yeah,
DNS. He's
I-
now
I-
orbiting.
I-
Unfortunately,
I don't
the moon
think-
has drifted over to the 3-legged race solar system,
Yeah,
and it's not
I don't think he's a
working.
moon anymore. He's detached. The celestial body is just flying out into
He's
the
like
cosmos.
Pluto. They're
Pluto
like he's not a
treatment.
he's not a
Inertia.
planet anymore.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I guess he'd be an asteroid then, if he's just detached, flying away.
He's a Kuiper Belt object.
Oh, no. That's very sad. So, yeah, that one's unfortunately... KT is just completely wrong because now they're just good. But they don't have any big moons anymore because they've lost 2 of the moons.
They
and
have
the
some
other one,
quality traits too.
Yeah, the other one crashed into the planet and is now part of the planet. And then the 3-legged race DNF situation is... it's swap Berserker's name with anyone and you're probably fine.
Quantum.
Oh, no.
Yeah, maybe the people making the roster decisions need to do a little bit less workshopping.
Yeah.
Too much Mockley on the top of the mountain.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, we've devolved into talking about
On that
hiking
note.
rather than League of Legends, so I think it's probably time for us to call it a night. To
take a hike?
this episode. Yeah, we're gonna go take a hike. But make sure you guys take a hike to the like and subscribe buttons and
hit the bell.
Hit the bell icon. Did you
Yeah.
know only 13% of the people watching this are subscribed? I definitely didn't just make that number up.
Wow.
Let us know in the comments. Did you think our takes from 2025 lined up with where we are in 2026? Is Peter still a moon? we want to hear
read
from
all
you.
the comments, by the way.
Yeah, we do. And we like and respond to all of them. And this is the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next couple of weeks for another one. Bye-bye.